So this morning and the afternoon, we'll have a day dedicated to case studies. So we have different countries coming and going to present their actions, what they are doing on a daily basis, and how they consider some of the good ways to tackle with the problem of IUU fishing. First of all, I would like to invite Medina Thiam. Medina Thiam is working at the Senegalese Maritime Administration. She's the technical advisor of the managing director. She has studied in France. She has a master in law, and she also has another master from WMU. After a second master at WMU, she became deputy director, and she was focusing mostly on flag state, port state, coastal state obligation and responsibility. She was working on trying to resolve and prevent the problem of lack of security at sea, marine pollution, maritime risks. And after being appointed as technical advisor of the managing director, she has also been participating in many fishing-related activities, and especially first with Interpol. And she has been vice chair of the Interpol Fisheries Crime Working Group. And in addition to that, she participated in the creation within the Interpol Fishing Crime Working Group on the Women
Law Enforcement
Femme Network. So it's also very interesting because one of the key elements also of Medina is she has been working quite actively in trying to promote women in the maritime in general, but also on her own country, because recently she has been creating a special network for women and sustainable development. So thank you very much, Medina, and the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Merci beaucoup. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Mesdames et messieurs, bonjour. I would like to thank you all for being here with me, and particularly Professor Raphael Baumler, Professor Francis Nitt, Kathleen, and extend my gratitude to South Korea for inviting me to this extraordinary seminar, Capfish. So today I'm going to talk about my country, Senegal, fisheries in Senegal, and how Senegal is dealing with IUU fishing. Sorry, you will have maybe some trouble in listening because my braces are a little bit challenging in my speech. So I'm very sorry and I regret it. If you have questions, please do not hesitate to interrupt me and to ask questions. My outline. In that presentation, I will talk first about the maritime Senegalese context, which is really important because you should have a first representation of what is the maritime space in Senegal. Secondly, the fish, how fish is perceived in Senegal. Fish is a cultural heritage. And I will show you how UNESCO has been recognizing this patrimonium of mankind in Senegal. After that, I will go deeply in the context and in the subject of IUU fishing in Senegal. How IUU fishing is noted, observed, and tackled by the national agency collaboration and through regional cooperation and international partnership. After that, I will give you the recommendations in my conclusion. So, Senegal is located in the western part, as you can see, of Africa. And we are bordered by the Cabo Verde. Between Cabo Verde and Senegal, you have the Atlantic Ocean. In the north of Senegal, you have Mauritania. And here, in the eastern part, you have Mali, a landlocked country. In the south of Senegal, you have two Guineas, differentiated by their the city, the capital city, Guinea-Bissau first and Guinea-Conakry. In middle of Senegal, you have a small country. I'm sorry to tell small country, because we have inherited it from this international treaty during the colonization. And we have the same population from the north of Senegal, the south of Mauritania, and Mali, and Gambia, and Guinea. You will see Thiam's family, Cissé family, Job families, Ndiaye families. This is like a province in Dakar, Gambia. We are blessed because we have a coastline of more than 700 kilometers. And with the upwelling system and the current of Canaries, this area is really rich in fish products. Blue economy in Senegal is composed by those determinants you can see. You can just read it on the slide. The fishery sector, which has the first income for our country. The transportation, which is really important because, you know, from Dakar to Casamance, we have ferries, and you have maybe heard about the Jola accident, the worst case after the Titanic accident in terms of losses. And yes, in that cases, we had issues related to maritime safety. In the blue economy also, you can consider tourism as a component of the maritime Senegalese context. And we've discovered recently oil and gas. So Senegal is blessed. Let's go to the second part. Why fish is fundamental for Senegalese people. Why fish is considered as a cultural heritage. Because of the participation of massive coastal communities, the artisanal fisheries, the industrial private sector, composed with Senegalese and foreign vessels, and the fish processing, which is really important in the country, and particularly for women. And also, I will discuss a little bit more about the significance of fish. As you can read, the national production of fish in Senegal in 2021 was equivalent to over 550,000 tons. It's really huge as a number. And it was the equivalent of 340 million euros. In CFA, it is billion. You can do the change if you like. It is one euro is about 656 nearly francs CFA. In 2020, you can see that it was just a little bit more, 500,000 and over to 200 billion CFA. Why the artisanal fisheries sector is so important in Senegal? This segment of the fisheries production is important because they are producing more than 83% of fish in my country. It is represented, as you can see here, by this amount of money, less than 300 million euros. We have also different numbers. You can find 20,000 artisanal fishing boats or more, but I wanted to give you those numbers, those statistics, because they are coming from the maritime fisheries direction. But as you may know, we are lacking of information, of data collection in fisheries sectors, and even for the industrial fishing vessel than in the artisanal fisheries sector. Fishermen in the artisanal fisheries, you can see, you have less fishers. COVID time, you had 70,000, and here today, 72. So don't forget, the artisanal fisher sectors was 83%. The industrial one is about 16%. And we had 120 million euros of benefits from the industrial sector. We have 197 Senegalese vessels, and in 2018, you can read this number, less. The industrial catches in 2019 were made by 88% by Senegalese fishermen in the industry, and the rest 12 by foreign vessels. The catches are harvested by trawlers first, national tuna boats, and sardine boats. And they are directly processed in units or directed to external markets for exportation. Why fish processing is important? Fish processing is important because women are working a lot in that part of the fisheries value chain, almost 70%. Almost 70%, and you have here the number in terms of volume, and in commercial value, 85 million euros. Those who are processing are working more in the artisanal fisheries, as mentioned here, 72% than the industry. The significance of fish, as I mentioned earlier, Senegalese GDP is based firstly on the income made by the exportation. The value is around 400 million euros. And the sectors is employing 600,000 people. And the number, I have just a problem with the number. Ask me why. Since I'm working in the fishing sectors and in the maritime sector, I have this number. It hasn't changed. More than 12 years, it hasn't changed. So, who are making the exportations? Almost the industrial vessel for 90%. And where are they going? In Asia, Europe, Dubai. And yes, food security is essential for our Senegalese coastal communities and also those who are living in the land. They represent more than 70% of animal proteins, and even in some areas, around 100%. This is our national dish. I had a nice discussion with my friend from Nigeria, asking if this nice meal composed with fish, the chof, le miroux, and vegetables and rice, we can eat it red because of tomatoes or white. It has recognized, I'm sorry, Ayo, it has recognized as a cultural heritage for Senegalese people by UNESCO. It is not jollof chicken It is not Nigerian, but Senegalese. But we can let it, take it if you want, but it is internationally recognized. I can invite you all to come to Senegal or Senegalese restaurant to try this one. I think it is one of the best dish in Senegal. Are you fishing in Senegal? Are you fishing is present everywhere in the globe, and particularly in Africa, because we have a lot of fishes. Definition, I will skip it. We have done it, I think, during those days. I will talk about the impacts, the illustration, and the challenges we got in tackling IU fishing. So, FAO IU fishing, you can read it for vessels part. For Senegalese legislation, illegal is what is non-permitted, what is forbidden, unauthorized, without permission. Example, you have those fishermen coming, entering, and fishing illegally in an area where they found juvenile and immature fish. Unreported, not declared, misreported. Unregulated, vessel without nationality, vessel non-party to RFMO, or absence of management and conservative measures by the fishermen practicing illegal activities. What are the impacts of IU fishing? Generally, Africa is threatened by various maritime threats. IU fishing can be linked to those threats as maritime fraud, human drugs arms trafficking, also pollution of the marine environment, and corruption, which is the main threat that we have in our region. The consequences, you see them, the socio-economic effects, depletion, and environmental one, the degradation of the environment. What are we losing? You see the amount in Senegal per year, 30 million US dollar. You have some cases illustrating the IU fishing in Senegal. One of the famous cases which occurred in November 2015 was the Kunun cases. The Kunun case was named also Asian warrior. They were fishing illegally in the CCALMR, and as you may know, it is illegal and unregulated. So the vessel entered in Thailand, and the Thai authorities noted that the catch, the declaration, was false. They went to Indonesia, but before that, Thai authorities detained the vessels, and she escaped. Those states, Indonesia, Thailand, enter in contact with Interpol, and Interpol sent a purple notice through maritime states, and Senegal was advised that the vessel should come in Dakar or the western part of Africa. On November 28, in 2015, the vessel entered in the port of Dakar. The director of the DPSP, this is the Direction of the Protection and Surveillance of Fisheries, asked to Interpol a mission for supporting them in the investigation. The vessel was detained in the port of Dakar, and we have seen associated crimes with that vessel. The nationality of the vessel was Saint Vincent and Grenadine. As you can see, they removed the plate here. This is the pictures that the Purple Notice of Interpol has sent to different maritime and fisheries administration. This one is written in Dakar. We found that it was written Asian warrior, and the one here was written Kunlun. So the inspectors find similarities between different parts of that vessel. You can see here that Saint Vincent and Grenadine also stated that the Kunlun case couldn't navigate in August 2015. What is amazing is the volume of fish that this vessel was exporting to Vietnam. Look at this number. In 7 containers, without the permission of the Senegalese authorities. Finally, the crew members escaped also. And in 2019, do you remember the case when the ship entered in Senegal? It was in 2015. It is only in 2019 that the court declared the sentence for every member of this ship and the fines for the damages. The ship was sold recently in March 2022. We have also other cases. One from Spain, a Spanish vessel fishing illegally. And what made me laugh in that case is that when they went to court, the captain was saying that Senegal is poor and we do not have any more fish. So they went to Guinea-Bissau, and the fish was just harvested in Guinea-Bissau, not in Senegal. Finally, the decision of the court was declared in March 2017, and they had to pay 700 million CFA. They haven't paid today. The Atlantic Navigator case, this ship flagged the Belize country, and yes, they had a Mauritanian license and they were fishing illegally also. The consignee recognized that they have done illegal activities, and finally they have this fine. They asked for transactional protocol, and they had to pay 500 million CFA. Let's move to the Senegalese industrial vessels committing IU fishing in Senegal. In 2020, we had 12 cases, and for those cases, it was, I don't know if you can read here clearly the name of the fishing vessels. Let me read it for you. Sunuma first, Liu Yihaoyu Yuan, Ganadak, Fuyanyu, Monica, Lucky, Satunya, Kapotra, Montanadak. You can observe that those vessels, mostly half of those vessels, are not really Senegalese. What happened? It's a joint venture from Chinese companies and Senegalese industrial. All the fish that are harvested are exported. Do you remember? 90% of the exportation are made by the industrial fishermen. What was the infringements recognized here for the 12 cases? 5 of those vessels didn't get fishing licenses. The argument were they have paid almost what they need to pay, and they are waiting for the ministry decision. And 5 also was fishing in unrestricted area, sorry. And other 4 were using fishing gear not permitted. And from the 12 fishing vessels, you have 3 of them that were not recognized guilty. And this is the decision of the Commission of Infringements called the Commission des Infractions. What are the main challenges in Senegal for tackling IU fishing? We are lacking of human resources. We have sometimes absence of coordination between the enforcement agencies. We have insufficient means for collecting data and intelligence. Yes, and maritime issues related to safety. You cannot stay in Senegal during 1 month without hearing about maritime accident, collision of ship, vessels, industrial one, and pirogue. You cannot stay 1 month without hearing a casualty in the maritime sectors and fisheries also industry. And detention also of Senegalese ship, because harvesting in illegal zone, and particularly in Gambia and Mauritania. And another current problem that we have, smuggling, illegal immigration, because fishers do not have possibility to fish anymore because fish is becoming scarce. So they are paying for their children to go to Europe because they think that they will have a better life there. So we have a lot of that through smuggling. We have also a barrier in the legal and judiciary enforcement, because you've seen the Kunun case. The ship arrived in 2015, but the decision of the court was in 2019. It was too long. The crew members escaped, the exploitation were being made, and finally, it was a global issue, and Spain was also trying to have a trial. They have prosecuted the captain, and the captain is in jail in Spain. But during that time, Senegal was not involved. Senegal was not informed. And as I mentioned earlier, the cases and the decisions of the Commission des Infractions are not enforced. And this is a big issue. How can you put fines? How can you give fines? How can you sentence? And the decisions are not applied. My question is also, what is the political will? Our government, our ministers, our administrations, our managing director, are they willing to tackle effectively IU fishing? I remember a case, it was with UNODC, an expert group meeting that we had twice in Vienna and Oslo to elaborate this guide on corruption and how to tackle it. The guide is entitled Rotten Fish. I was participating in the elaboration of that guide, and ask for the first time that we had a project pilot in Senegal, because generally we do not have this diversity because of the language and this representativity in terms of projects. So the first workshop on combating corruption in the fisheries was held in Dakar in October 2019. I organized this workshop with the DPSP, the Direction of Surveillance and Protection of Fisheries, and we were supposed to have the second workshop. And the last Minister of Fisheries didn't want us to have this workshop. We had two dates, two different dates, and every time he was asking the objectives of this seminar. I wrote twice the objectives of this seminar to the minister, but till now, no answer. I wanted to share with you this OECD fisheries value chain and how you can see corruption occurring in the fisheries value chain. I'm sorry, it is in French, but on this fisheries value chain, at the port, you have people, seafarers, fishermen, preparing the voyage. And after that, they are going to fish. They will be at sea, fishing, landing, and also at the port, processing, and after that, exporting, transport, and also, I think, the consumers. The fish, the fish from the sea to the plate of the consumer. During the preparation of this voyage, fishermen should have all the licenses they need, and also the list of crew members, the register of the vessels. This is done by the Maritime Administration, and sometimes for licensing, it is the minister who is giving the license. But the commission of attribution of licenses, examination, and advices. So here, officials can be bribed at that level when preparing the voyage. When they are at sea, you have the observers, and they are often in the industrial foreign vessels. Also, they can be bribed. When they land the catch at the port, the inspectors doing this verification of fish, and also the agents of the port can be bribed too. So those are the different steps where officials can be bribed. And the solution are here, creating maybe sectors controlling every steps and dealing with the fiscal, financial authorities, custom, and so on, to try to understand and to assess, to identify the risk, the corruption risk, and to prevent them and find solution. What are the responses? I will talk first about institution, because without institution, we cannot do anything. After that, I will talk also about law. Law is fundamental. Enforcement is fundamental. If you don't have law, you cannot enforce anything. And operations, because of surveillance, we need to monitor, control, and surveil our maritime space. After that, the civil actions are currently important because they are raising awareness through population. I will come to the regional cooperation and the international collaboration. What are the institutions and structures dealing with IU fishing in combating IU fishing properly? You have different ministries, several entities from the Maritime Economic Department and the Maritime Administration, which is called here ANAM, and I'm working there. And you have also the DPSP, as I mentioned earlier, the Direction of Protection and Surveillance of Fisheries, doing the MCS, the Navy, which is the maritime law enforcement element, really important in Senegal because they are boarding, they are arresting, and they are controlling the area, and the maritime gendarmerie taking the role of police at the port and dealing for environmental issues also, and the port of Dakar for birthing the direction of industry transforming fish product, the ITP for the sanitary certification and giving this label for fish to be exported and recognized. And in case of emergency, you have the ASMA, which is dealing with the coordination of operation. And often we have operation together with all these agencies and services. For example, for an exercise of IU fishing, how to deal with a tabletop exercise with all the entities. The legal framework, Senegal has a maritime country, has signed all the major agreements and international standards. UNCLOS is the first, the UN Fish Stock Agreement also, the FAO, IPO, the PSME, the C188, the separate condition convention to the condition of access and exploitation of fish resources, the fishing code, the Senegalese fishing code in 2015, the Mercant Marine Code in 2002, the Penal Code, the Drugs Code, and the Tax General Code. Those codes are just for the associated crimes like fraud, money laundering, or drug, or human trafficking here for the Penal Code and Drugs Code. I was talking about lack of meaning. We have only 6 patrol boats and ordering another one since April. You can see them. Those are 20 meters, we have 2, and others of 33, 45, 60, 20. For the intelligence and the surveillance of the maritime space, Senegalese space, you have the VMS, the AS, and the radar also. At the international level, we are patrolling with some countries in the areas, and we have joint patrols, and it's really necessary to surveil the maritime African waters. What are the civil responses? We have observers on board the vessels, foreign vessels. They can see what happened, they can report, they can tell us what are the main issues. The coastal also communities is aware of what happened. They are generally trained and they participate actively to the surveillance of the maritime coastal territory. The media also, I don't know if you know about a film entitled Poisson d'or, Poisson africain, goldfish, African fish. This film is dealing with what occurred in Casamance. In Casamance, you have people from Guinea, from Guinea-Bissau, from Guinea-Conakry, from Mali, from Sierra Leone, and generally women. They came in Casamance for transforming food. But unfortunately, what happened is that you have so many fish farms coming and just financing to produce fish meal, so they are losing their jobs. And when you arrive in Kafountine, because the place is called Kafountine, you have less workers there, and you cannot even recognize the place because of the destruction of the place. Academia in Senegal, we have the Trainma Center, the Training Maritime Center, we've linked with European and French, particularly French university. And so young people can go to make their master there. They have a new discipline, which is called maritime energy this year. And we have also NFM, the National École, I would say, Institute for Maritime Training, and university also. But we do not have so much maritime disciplines and fisheries discipline, which is really important today to have. And also women. You can see those nice ladies, two nice African Senegalese ladies. What is written here? Anasamejen. Anasamejen mean, where is my fish? And poisson volé, you know that, stolen fish. And this was a campaign with Greenpeace. It was in July 2020 at the Place du Souvenir. Women are very keen in raising awareness, in trying to find solution, because they are the one who are feeding their family. They are the one who are working a lot, but low paid, less educated than men, and representing in the maritime sector, unfortunately, 2% in the fishing sector, just in the segment of processing, they are there, they are working there, and they represent, as processor or marketers, 700%. So here you can see 6 women, and here it is written, le Tchéboudienne, c'est ma culture, c'est mon identité. So Tchéboudienne, I mentioned earlier, our Senegalese cultural heritage, my culture, my identity. What they are trying to do is raising awareness, sensitize people, and trying to make them confident with themselves, and to make them confident also of their wealth, and to get aware of that fish is our wealth, and they must protect it, they must preserve it. And it's really important, because women are listened, and women are so important in my country. They represent more than 51% of the population, and they are well listened. So in that day, in that International Day of Fish, in 21st November 2020, the president of those women, her name is Fatou Samba, was telling that it is enough. We have to stop it. And they were against all which is related to fish meal and also flour, because we are just destroying our fisheries system. Those ladies has another combat also. They are not recognized at all as professional. Since 10 years, they are putting their file in several agencies and to the minister to be recognized. So we are waiting. We had a new ministry, a new minister with change through the direction. We hope that they will be recognized soon. What about the regional cooperation? As I mentioned earlier, we have joint patrol in the Commission sous-régionale des pêches, the Sub-Regional Fisheries Commission, and also ECOWAS Integrated Maritime Security, working a lot about the Yaoundé Code of Conduct in 2013 for tackling piracy, terrorism, maritime insecurity at sea. And today you have the CRESMAO, the CRESMAC, and the ICC. And also the PESCAO, which is funded by the European Union, but unfortunately it will be ended in December 2022. We will see what will occur after that. You have the international collaboration in Senegal. Yes, we have implemented PSME with FAO. And last week we had this regional meeting in Dakar related to the implementation of PSME with the three regions. Sorry. With the three regions, the Mediterranean zone, the Middle East, and Africa. Interpol in the UN system is an organization dealing with police, criminal police. And we have assistant for investigation and the fisheries crime. And Professor Raphael Baumler mentioned it earlier. I was elected in the Fisheries Crime Working Group, and we are assisting the Secretariat General of Interpol in Lyon, and also the delegates, and having projects about raising awareness and making a tabletop exercise during the symposium, the Fisheries Crime Symposium in Denmark, in Copenhagen. And yes, trying to work closely with the maritime and fisheries sectors. UNDP, you know that the UNDP has an agenda for 2030, and we are concerned by the SDG 14, life below water, and transforming our world is essential, but we need fundings. Generally, some countries are helping a lot, as in this seminar, South Korea. And with the Blue Project on fisheries crime at the UNDP, Norway is financing this fisheries crime, this Blue Project, this Blue Resilience Project. And a study was done about the institutions and also the gender-related actions. And I was dealing with this part. What about the international collaboration, the international partnership? You have a kind of multilateralism in the fisheries sectors. It was really essential to be in Kenya for the first conference of Blue Economy. It was in Kenya in 2018. And many presidents were there, ministries, agencies, and law enforcement. And we were talking about how to tackle IU fishing. And we had a lot of side events. France also is helping a lot Senegal in deterring IU fishing, and particularly on the surveillance, on the air surveillance, because we do not have so many means. I think you have only one aircraft for dealing with patrol and surveillance. And you have the éléments français, the French elements that are helping a lot Senegal. And this kind of cooperation is bilateral. It is not a global one. Canada also has supported Senegal a lot since 1982. Through this support, the DPSP, the current DPSP, was created. They'll help us to have means, coastal stations, observers, and also to write the fishing code. So I have told earlier about Norway with the Blue Justice Initiative and their declaration. We have the Copenhagen Declaration, which was done in 2018 at the Fish Crime Symposium in Denmark, in Copenhagen. And yesterday, finally, with the new minister, Papsanyambai here, he was just appointed minister 3 weeks ago. He's not the one telling no and what are the objectives. So I hope that we will have the second workshop about corruption on the fisheries sectors in Senegal. Has signed the declaration with the Deputy Minister for International Development, Mrs. Bjorg Sandkjær. Hope that I haven't bad pronounced her name. What about the organizations? You have USAID, the American agency, helping a lot for capacity building for the artisanal fisheries sectors. And they had also a workshop on IU fishing deterrence. What about academia? Academia, education is essential. And here, let me thank again the World Maritime University. Without the World Maritime University, I think I won't stand here today and speak about IU fishing and fisheries in Senegal. I am blessed because I was part of this class of 2014 here, not in the same building. It was in the old one. I learned a lot. And the World Maritime University is providing, I think, through the world, the future leaders. They are a center for excellence. The World Maritime University should be supported. And I think in this area of fisheries, Professor Baumler, please, Francis, Kathleen, be the ambassadors to have a new discipline in fisheries and IU fishing also. Catfish, Korea, we are very proud of this seminar. And yes, Germany also and Japan help a lot for the students to have grants. I had grant from Germany, and my country couldn't afford to pay for me this education. So thank you, WMU. So, as a conclusion, what should be done differently? We have to innovate for a criminal justice and dynamic IU preventive measures. We have to assess, we have to identify, we have to build, to reinforce and examine the legal and judiciary procedures in the region. We must invent new approaches on fish security awareness. What I mentioned earlier, WMU should think to a new project and a new discipline. Fish is important. Fish is significant for Senegalese. We are a less developed country. If we do not have any more fish, we won't be stable. All the communities must be involved in tackling IU fishing. The blue transformation that we are talking about nowadays must be met with men, but particularly with women and young people, for the implementation of the UN agenda and for sustainable management and conservation of fisheries stock. Co-constructive and inclusive fish security projects are necessary for building an entire sovereignty, prosperity, safe and stable nation. Thank you very much for your attention. lot.
Thank you very much, Medina, for your presentation and for your kind word for our work. And we are very much looking forward to have some development from this project and see where we're looking and trying to exhaust your wishes. That's the next step, but we are going to try. Thank you for that. Is there any question to Medina about her presentation? Francis.
Thank you so much, Medina. It was a wonderful presentation. And I think you've raised a very interesting and new dimension in this whole debate about IUU fishing, which is the fish meal processing and the supply for the aquaculture industry. We haven't really touched on that before, and I wonder if you could just slightly elaborate a little bit more about who is supplying to these fish meal processors, and is there an illegal component of the supply into those fish processing factories, and where does it then go, and who are the beneficiaries of that?
Thank you very much, Professor Francis. This is really important. This is a current challenge for the Western African countries, and I have read on a Gambian paper that they are used to harvest almost 7,000, more than 7,000 tons of fish per year for just fish meal. They send it to Asia and Europe, as you may know. So it is totally crazy. And this volume of fish is just, how can I say, is a problem for the coastal communities because they have more fish to process, and generally they are poor, so they are in the processing segment of the artisanal fisheries. They have no more fish to process. They don't sell fish. So what happened with the coastal community? It's why you have illegal immigration. That's why you will find a fisherman paying for a guy to send his son to Europe because they can't fish. And fishing is a tradition in Senegal. And you have various communities dealing with fish. So it's really important to tackle this fish meal that the companies are just beginning to establish in Senegal. And you know, you have a Spanish company came in Senegal, in Kayar, but the population of Kayar was so united that they asked to this director to move from the country. So they went out. But all the Senegalese came and are here to do the same job, to produce fish meal. And in September, they went to the court because they asked this farm to be closed. They are polluting the environment. They can't breast normally, and they are destroying the environment. You have a depletion of fish stock. And this region was so rich in fish. Yes, we have to tackle it. And I think we have to see maybe how to revise our fishing code and put some articles on the fish meal. And yes, it's important for the conservation and the management of fish stock. Otherwise, you won't have fish anymore. You're welcome. Hope I haven't answered your question.
Thank you very much, Medina. Do we have any more questions? Yes, please.
Hey, good morning, and thank you for your really eye-opening presentation. My name is Manuel Fuenzalía. I'm from Chile in South America, but particularly aquaculture is a topic that unites us and some other countries. We have the experience of, for example, Norway or Denmark that are really advanced on it, and some multinational companies are arriving to our countries to establish this new industry. in our experience, is quite sensitive, the process prior to have a factory of agriculture, for example. The environmental implications, the process, it takes years. Sometimes it's accepted, some other time it's not. So could you please elaborate on the process to actually establish those facilities prior to have them? Because in our case, it takes time, and there's many people financially that really support those initiatives, but there are other people that on the environmental side are really against it. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you very much for your question. In Senegal, aquaculture is not really developed. I think we have less than 20. I will give you after the good number, but I think it is about 20,000 tons of fish that we get, and as I say earlier, fishing is a tradition. So the fishermen are used to go to the sea and fish, and not having a farm and fishing farm products, fish farm products. This is done principally by foreign investors in Senegal. And yes, we have an agency called the National Agency for Aquaculture, trying to put some incentives to help people, and even those who are in the land and not living on the coastlines, to implement this kind of farm. But it is not really well developed, and yes, maybe in the future we will see how this will evolve in our country, and what will be the main challenges that we will have maybe with aquaculture. You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Medina. Dr. Han.
Thank you so much, Ms. Medina, for your insightful presentation. I really appreciate it. And it's quite impressive for me to see the woman fishers campaign about their identity and culture and the importance of the fisheries for them, for their lives. And my question is that as far as you know, is there some support from the international organization, such as FAO or other organizations, to support the women fishers, some capacity building program in Senegal?
Yeah. Thank you very much for your question. Yes, FAO generally is helping a lot Senegal for the conservation and as I mentioned earlier, and the management of our fisheries stock, and also for the implementation of the FAO instruments, and to put them in the legislation, in the national Senegalese legislation. But in terms of support for those women, they are not exactly fisher women. They are not fishers. They are only processors or marketers. They are selling the fish. They are at the end of the fisheries value chain. So they are trying to get their recognition, and they are supported more today, but by the NGOs than an international organization like FAO. I hope, like I mentioned earlier, that with the new ministry and the new minister, we will have this chance and this opportunity to see finally the recognition and the possibility to work as professionals and recognized as professionals in all over the world, and have the possibility to sit also to meetings dealing with IU fishing, with fisheries management, because it's important to have this recognition. They are not visible at all. In the fishing sectors in Senegal, you have only 2 women who are ship owners of fishing vessels. Only 2 women. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yes, please,
You're
one
welcome.
final question, please. Thank you very much.
Okay, I'm Lucas. I'm from Kenya. I'm mostly on the maritime business. So my question is, you have highlighted to us how fishing is important to Senegal, and you have even gone to extent of showing the connection between fishing and even your culture. Do you think it's time, maybe like we as the African countries, or maybe like Senegal, try to diversify our sources of income to try and curb this issue of IU fishing?
Excuse me, I didn't get the last part of your question. Sorry. Can you repeat again, please?
Okay, I'm saying that at the start of your presentation, you highlighted to us the importance of fishing,
Yeah.
and even you went to the extent of showing the connection between fishing and even your culture. My question is, do you feel like, is it the time we try to diversify our sources of income or the way we generate revenue for our country in a way to prevent IU fishing, or yes, to give our people some more aspect of earning money in there?
Okay, thank you very much for your question. It's really important to think about the future of fishers. Essentially, when I have been talking about the component of Senegalese blue economy, you've heard that I mentioned that we discovered offshore oil and gas in our country. And often you have conflicts between fishermen, artisanal fishermen, going through the area of the offshore oil and gas, which is not permitted because they found more fish there and they are fishing in that sector. And why they are doing that? Because they have less fish. They have less fish in the territorial sea and the inland waters. So they are going far to fish. Yes, it's a problem. And even when you see a traditional family fisherman, the grandfather the grandparents were fishing, the fathers were fishing. Now the young do not want to fish anymore because for them it is just death in front of them, and they won't gain money a lot. And before their father were gaining a lot of money. So it's a big issue. And that's why the Senegal government is trying to have a new strategy for the coastal communities and to think about local content, having qualified person for the offshore, for example, oil and gas, or to put them in other sectors of maritime energy, because those are the future fields for the socio-economic development. And you should have also the willingness of those people to want to change their career and to want to have another job and prepared to be trained and educated.
Thank you very much, Medina,
You're
for this
welcome.
last word. Now we're going to move on a little bit, if you don't mind. Thank you again. Thank you very much.